Hey guys, it's Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, and I just saw The Commuter, written by Byron Willinger, Philip de Blasi, Ryan Engle, and directed by Jaume Collet-Serra. Alright, so this is the first opportunity that I have had since I've started doing these reviews where I can invoke something that I have been talking with friends a long time about, and it's the Fast and the Furious rule. So basically what happens is you take a movie that's not supposed to be something amazing. Not, it's not Citizen Kane. It's not, certainly not like the movies I've done so far, like Molly's Game or The Post or I, Tonya. Things that have a chance of winning maybe an Oscar somewhere along the line. What the Fast and the Furious rule is for thrillers, action films, goofy comedies, the types of things that can never properly be rated like other films, and you try and adjust it based. So like take Fast and the Furious itself. The original Fast and the Furious, you would probably give like, as far as an actual film, like how good of a film it is, you'd probably give it a 5. But as far as how it makes you feel, like what you're going in to try and get, it would be an 8. So you would get like a 3-point bump with the Fast and the Furious rule, because you're not going there for the plot. You're not going there for the witty repartee. You're going there for fast cars, crashes, hot chicks, that sort of thing. So when you know ahead of time that your movie of choice is going to fall within the Fast and the Furious rule bylines, then it becomes a lot easier to enjoy it. And The Commuter is one of those flicks. Like, it's a lot of fun while you're there, but you don't need any particular kind of, like, it's not high art. Let's just put it that way. So Liam Neeson plays Michael. He is a workaday schlub. He used to be an NYPD cop, but now he sells insurance, and every morning takes the commuter train to Manhattan. And through the first part of the movie, we sort of show his life, like, so him dealing with his family on a day-to-day basis, like the moments at breakfast before they all head out and start their day. We see him riding the train. We see him talking to Jonathan Banks. It's always nice to see Jonathan Banks in something. Pretty early on there, we realize that now he's selling insurance, and he gets unceremoniously fired. He meets up with his old partner from the beat as a cop at the bar, and they see the captain, played by Sam Neill. His partner, by the way, Patrick Wilson. And Liam Neeson's just pining, like, I don't know how to tell my wife. I don't know how to tell my wife. I just got fired. We got 2 mortgages. I have nothing in savings. And he gets on his train home, where you imagine he's probably just going to try and take it in a little bit before he has to go home and deliver the bad news to his wife. But Vera Farmiga shows up and starts asking him. She goes on and on about like this psychological question, and she's trying to figure out the person to answer this, and there's 6 different personality types. It goes on and on and on and on. But really, essentially what it is what would you do for $100,000, which is the crux of essentially what's going on here. And we are launched off into this drama this thriller where he's trying to find the one passenger on the train who isn't supposed to be there, and put a little tracker on them. And the idea is that as you go along through the movie, we find out why that's important and all the twists and turns that you would expect from a thriller. And I'm not going to spoil them now, but at the end of this video will include just a minute or 2 of spoiler thoughts. So if you've already seen the movie, you want to come back to that later, I'll just put it at the very end. There will be a little spoiler bar. As far as the actual film itself, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It's short. So, it was like 90 minutes or just a smidge over. So, I mean, it moved really fast. It focused on what it needed to do. I thought a lot of the camera work was really great. There was some really cool shots that they were able to get, especially one early on, like when he realizes he's going to have to figure out he's going to have to go back and forth throughout the train and find the one person who doesn't belong. And they do this super long panning shot backwards throughout all the cars of the train, which was really nice. There's also like a fight at one point during which Liam Neeson's head is pushed out the window. This is not spoiling anything, I'm just saying. His head is out the window and another train's coming, and the camera is outside of the train with Liam Neeson, and it follows him outward, and I thought that was a really nice shot too. I mean, it was a very stylized thriller. I think my only real complaint about it though is that sometimes it felt a little bit too harshly edited. And I know when you're making something stylized like this, it's way more difficult to get the shots to match up as perfectly as you'd like. But again, not spoiling anything, but there's at one point there's Liam Neeson has to jump from one train to the other. And the 3 shots that you get in that sequence are one of him like lifting up, and then the next shot is basically looks like a male ballet dancer doing like a pirouette through the air, and then lands on the other side. And it's just like, ooh, like it felt very awkward. And there's a couple points in fight scenes where it seems like it just makes it seem like Liam Neeson has lost a step a little bit, because they're speeding up the video, or speeding up the playback to make it roll a little bit faster. Like they recorded everything in halftime and then sped it up after the fact, which at some points gave a really cool effect because it's on the train. So the train's always moving. It always gets the sense of like the camera shouldn't be completely stable. It should always be moving a little bit too with the action. But there were some times where it worked and sometimes where it just felt a little... if you ever play like a video game where it's like a fighting game and then you get into like the combo moves, like where everything's in real time right until you get to the combo and it's like... boosh, boosh, boosh. Like it's just really... It just seemed a little bit too much. It was trying to find the happy medium on a lot of these things was a lot more difficult because I think the aspirations were so high on the movie. As far as acting, I mean, really, it's the Liam Neeson show. There's a couple... I mean, Jonathan Banks is in it for a minute. Vera Farmiga is in it for a minute. Patrick Wilson is in it here and there. Sam Neill is in it here and there. One performance I really would like to put aside, though, is Adam Negatis, who I had never seen before that I know of. Let me take a quick look through... Nope, I have not seen a single thing that he has been in, but he did a phenomenal job as sort of like the comic relief on one of the conductors. It was a lot of fun. Going to the leaderboard for as far as theaters go, this is now number 3 for Regal LA Live. And when we switch over to the movie leaderboard, we will find Commuter at a 7.1, which will put it in 5th place right now. But remember, Fast and the Furious rule, so we're going to have a special Fast and the Furious rule adjusted scoreboard here.
Too fast, too furious.
At which point, this is our only entry so far, so number 1 on the list, but I would bump it up to a 7.9 if you're going in adjusted terms. So if you know what you're stepping into, it's a really good flick. It's enjoyable. Its little foibles are acceptable, and it doesn't really take you out of the flick that much. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to get into spoilers now, so as long as you see the little spoiler thing here, you want to skip ahead if you want to see the end of the video. Alright, it's just us. We've all seen the Commuter, or at least you don't care about spoilers. So let me run through a couple things. Number 1, I'm not giving up who, even though we are in spoiler territory, I'm not giving up who the person that Liam Neeson is looking for, but I figured it out way early on in the movie. And was basically just waiting for the reveal the whole time. So when I talked to both Rob and Rachel, who I saw the movie with, they both had their inclinations. Rachel wasn't sure. Rob was pretty sure. But I was 100% set on it from this one particular moment that if you look back on the movie, you'll remember it. The other thing is that they seem to So, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, he'll say, go send some police officers to my family's house to make sure that everyone's okay. And, you know, then it'll be like 45 minutes later in commuter time, and you wouldn't have heard anything, and then 15 minutes later you hear from the cop, and he goes like, oh, I'm sending somebody over right away, and then it seems like 5 minutes later the cops show up. So I mean, like, it just, some of that doesn't make sense. At the very end, Sam Neill and talking about this goes like, yeah, we had an investigation open this whole time, and it felt very you know, like in The Room, where Chris R. and Danny are going back and forth about the drugs, and Tommy and Greg Sestero take him off to jail, and then they're back within like 30 seconds, and it's just like, yeah, he's booked in jail already. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, this whole thing in real life would not play out so seamlessly. But I mean, like, it's, again, Fast and the Furious rule applies. So I mean, like, these are the types of things that happen when a movie's not taking itself too seriously. But I do think that this movie took itself a little bit more seriously than it should. It had a lot of, like, inklings towards, like, what it's like to be in the middle class, and, like, you know, having the big bankers take away your safety and your security blanket and everything like that. And I felt that all a little bit unnecessary. It just seemed a little shoved in there. It didn't really have any ties to the way the movie progressed. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching again. If you want more of me, go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, or you can check out my Facebook page, Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, or Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at LegendCB5. If you like this review, please pass it on. If you want to share it, that would be greatly appreciated. And give it a like, give it a subscribe. Do everything you do to try and help keep this thing afloat, because I greatly appreciate everybody who has been watching and commenting. Until next time.